the background of all of them, but I didn't watch the one where they were all explained.
Yeah, I watched, I think, 9 out of the 12. I didn't get to the last 2, and I read those. But most of them have really tragic backstories and have hurt people. Like the Jackal was a rapist and murderer who went into a insane asylum and then burned up an insane asylum. Yeah.
He's like the dude from Dracula,
Renly.
Renly, who gets the box over his head and goes crazy.
Yeah. So they're pretty. I think most of them, a good chunk of them would hurt people.
Oh, okay.
Like the giant baby would, definitely the Juggernaut, but he's the only one that they explicitly say it in the movie. They're like, you've killed 40 people.
I think they kind of painted themselves in a corner with that big guy, the baby and his mom, because you couldn't feature them in an action scene or running because that would look silly. So you just have to have them standing there with pea soup drivel on his face.
Yeah, I like how they gave the baby an axe to make him look more menacing, and he's just like swinging it behind his back at the very end. You know, I'm like, I guess that's creepy, but I could definitely outrun both of you.
Now, I want to say I was watching this kid, right? And I told my wife, Megan, I'm like, hey, this isn't scary. And she's like, Mark, if you were in there, that'd be horrifying. And I was like, you have a point. That's right. I mean, if you saw a child with an arrow in his head with an axe. Oh, no, not an axe, but like a little kid. Oh, we're talking about something else. My bad. I mixed up the two kids. We had the baby with the axe, right? And then we had the kid with the arrow in his head.
Yeah, who has Native American feather, but dressed as a cowboy.
It's interesting. Interesting stylistic choices.
Yeah, I feel like they put a lot more effort into like explaining these ghosts, but then just left it out of the movie, right? Like they could have maybe just focused on like one or two, like have the Jackal or the Juggernaut be the main ghost that scares everyone, and just actually give their backstory would probably make it better.
You know what they could have done? And I know this isn't a do it better thing, but they could have gotten rid of Embeth Daviditz from Schindler's List and Army of Darkness. Got rid of that character, right? The Ghost Liberator. And just have Matthew Lillard know that information, and then you could expand upon the ghosts.
Yeah, that would have been much better. Because then the second act reveal would have been that Tony Shalhoub's wife was one of the ghosts that he caught. Instead of the reveal being her, she's actually a bad person.
Yeah, and then she just sort of gives it away, too. She's like, he captured your wife. And then they get over it pretty quickly.
That's a really good observation. How long do you think this movie actually lasted? Or how long do you think they were in that house?
Because, oh, gosh. Well, she spent about 7 hours in the bathroom.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah. The sun hadn't come up yet, right? When the house blew up?
No, it hadn't.
And they got there late.
Yeah.
I mean, a few hours, 4 hours?
I was guessing 1 to 2 hours total.
Yeah, that makes sense. Once it kicks off, it doesn't kick off until like 30 minutes they get to the house.
Yeah, and then 45 minutes in, and then all the ghosts start happening.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a crazy mishmash if you're in the basement and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. Is the house moving? I think the house is moving. It's very confusing.
Can they go upstairs? One of them went upstairs, but can the other ones go upstairs?
Well, they had to have gone upstairs because all the ghosts at the end went upstairs to the middle of the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they chased them upstairs when they got to the library, but then most of them stayed in the basement. You're right. That's a little weird.
I want to talk about the beginning of this movie. There's an explosive fence.
Oh my God, I'm glad you noticed that. I did too. What makes the fence explosive?
I was like, wait, yeah, because the fence it exploded, correct?
Yeah, it was just a truck hit it, it explodes, and I was like, is it made of like, I don't know. It was just really crazy to see that. Like you would see a movie, you just like run through it and that's fine. That's the action at the start of the movie.
Yeah. Maybe metal on metal creates a spark, but that was an explosion. That was an explosive lock. And then sorry. Oh, go for it.
I have a lot of questions at the beginning of this movie. Like I think you'll probably hit this one, but why are they wearing transparent raincoats?
It's a great question. I'm wondering how do you hire these henchmen?
Well, no one seemed to care at all that their friends were getting killed, other than Matthew Lillard, and he probably didn't even know the guy.
Are these henchmen? They're paranormal ghost milits? They're like paramilitary SWAT for ghost hunters, right?
Yeah, unless they didn't know what was happening. I mean, they were the bait, I guess.
Why? Maybe they wore the clear jackets to show that they had uniforms. The people are like, I gave uniforms for all these extras. We're not putting rain jackets over them. We're giving them clear rain jackets.
I really hope that is what happened.
I want to see a fight between the wardrobe designer and the director. Clear rain jackets now.
I mean, maybe they did that for to mimic the house in the future, in the future scenes.
Whoa.
That might be giving them too much credit for this film, though.
I like it. Let's say that.
Okay.
That's a good. And that guy was throwing cars around.
Oh, the Juggernaut?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a scene at the end when he gets out and he's killing people when he sucks a guy through the back of a car through his stomach and his back breaks in half. That's terrifying.
Was he in the trunk?
That's what they implied.
So when you think of Juggernauts, you think of X-Men and a Juggernaut running, correct? Just a fast-moving, unstoppable train. This dude just walks and drops cars on people. Is that a Juggernaut?
I would say so. He was by far the scariest ghost in the film. The largest and most, maybe, was he the most deadly? I think he killed the most people in the film.
Yeah, supposedly 9, but there were 40 in the place. And then he smashed Lillard in half. I liked how remorseless he was. The director did say he wanted these ghosts to be scary. And he was definitely scary.
I mean, juicy is scary.
Very juicy. There's so much juice. That's where half the budget.
Speaking about the beginning of the movie still, I know you want to talk about this. The truck filled with blood.
Yeah, that just blew up, right?
Just shot blood everywhere.
Yeah, a guy went into it, right, and blood just exploded.
Yeah, and he was driving down the middle of a junkyard, shooting blood everywhere. But what I noticed is that blood, it looked like high C. It was so bright red. There was no way that was actual blood.
And the blood that Lillard had on his face at the end was very bright red, too.
Mm-hmm. And what I did some math for this episode because I wanted to know. Yeah. So I tried to figure out how much blood was actually in that vehicle. And I guessed by looking at pictures and reading about trucks that about 3,000 gallons of blood.
Oh my! So that's like a little. It's probably what 2,800 humans, 2,700 people, or cow blood, I guess.
I did both of those. It's 2,500 people or 292 cows.
It's got to be cows, right?
It has to be cows, unless it's high C, and then it's 6,460 ounce cans of high C.
I like that because were they trying to make everything sticky?
I don't know. They just said they needed to draw him out, but they never explained why the blood drew him out. It seemed like if they were just there, the Juggernaut was going to kill someone.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question that you posed. Maybe it just made everything look bloody. Maybe you could get away with an R rating if there's blood all over the place already and someone falls into it and blood splatters.
Is this an R rating?
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe it's for nudity.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that lady's. I mean, it's probably all prosthetics, maybe, but she's naked the whole time.
Yeah, I would go with prosthetics. I'm not sure.
The angry princess.
Yes. Her backstory is really sad. I don't know. They don't go into it at all.
Yeah, it is bad. She was like a cutter, right? And then she eventually committed suicide.
She worked for a plastic surgeon, and he paid her in surgery. And then after a botched surgery that she performed herself, and she messed herself up, she committed suicide.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all the backstories on these ghosts are terrifying.
I like the torn prints. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I like that one too. Very 50s. The one that creeps me out the most is the torso.
Yeah, they didn't show it much, but when I saw it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was like one or two scenes, and I was like, that's the scariest ghost here. But while it's the scariest ghost, I think it's the one that I could most get away from of all the 13 ghosts.
You and I could jump over it.
Oh, yeah, and it also can't chase you. It can't see you because it has to carry its head, so it's like one-armed chasing you.
Yeah, that thing's. We'll be all right with that. No, I do have a question for you. We were watching it, and Lillard and Shaloub, action hero Shaloub, have the glass. No, the ectoparm glass, right? Ectoparm, right? Is
Ectobar.
Ectobar glass, and they are pushing the torn prints, and they smush the torn prints into some glass, and he gets smushed. But then he comes back later. So can you smush a ghost and it just comes back?
I guess so. That's a really good point. Because when I saw that, I didn't remember the ending, and I was like, oh, they killed a ghost. Now they can go around and kill all the other ghosts. But apparently you can. Apparently you can just hurt it for a little bit, and then it'll pop back up.
Because they smushed him.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Yeah, they just forgot the rules of their own universe.
Whoa, how awesome would that have been if they killed it, right? But then he was the failsafe. So then that forced him to become the 12th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole 13th Ghost thing.
I don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense in some ways. like I know that the 13th Ghost is supposed to be a pair with the 4th Ghost, which is his wife, and he has to kill himself in the machine to become the ghost. But then, like Matthew Lillard's there, I guess. I don't know. It's a little confusing. But the most confusing part is the whole Cyrus's whole plan. He's like, I'm going to pretend to be a ghost. And then it takes like the math professor at the end to count to 13 and say, oh, you can't be the final ghost.
Oh, wow.
Think about that. Like, that's the whole reason they set him up as a math professor, so he could count to 13 at the end.
Wow. That's awesome. That would have been like if the people around him were like, whoa. Like, who did F. Murray Abraham's makeup?
Who did it?
Did he hire the lawyer? No, he killed the lawyer because he put the money on that pedal.
Yeah.
So who did the prosthetic slit throat on him?
I'm imagining that he did it himself. He was just like in the bathroom working on it. It's like, I gotta look good. I gotta fake everyone out. but I'm not wearing the same thing I was killed in. So, that clearly I'm not a ghost.
I mean, that's a good makeup job. I mean, he did a very good job.
It's probably even better than we imagined because given the time frame, like there wasn't YouTube videos or YouTube tutorials. So he had to figure that out himself.
So he must have had a knowledge of it beforehand.
I hope so.
I guess he had been planning it for years, right?
It sounds like he'd been planning it for years. We're not quite sure how long it took to capture those 12 ghosts.
Who built the house?
Well, I mean, he built it, but is like a contractor, like a ghost contractor, house contractor.
I guess he had his own SWAT team.
Yeah, he was rich. Remember the great line? Like, Cyrus is a genius with money. That's it. That's all he said. It's like, well, thanks for telling us.
Yeah. You know what else I love in this movie? It's a glass house, and then Tony Shalhoub goes, "Now, no one throw a rock." I'm like, oh, Tony Shalhoub, come on, man.
So I feel like we're jumping all over this place or for this film, and I want to touch on the scene immediately after the beginning of the film, like the action junkyard scene, the backstory scene of the house.
Oh, geez Louise.
Which I was completely not prepared for. When it just describe it, it's just a pan of a house with people talking in the background of what's happening. And I was also like, sort of like, did they just forget to film this scene? What is happening here?
That's a lot of budget right there. They probably had to keep it all for the ectobar glass.
But the director was like, this is the coolest scene in the movie. This has so much energy and so much pathos. And it's just like, oh no, someone got caught in a fire.
There's multiple exits out of this home too. And she's like, I'm stuck. I'm like, wait, how? It's a tiny house.
I know. Yeah, that scene really blew my mind. That's when I knew I was in for a fun movie.
And even, what's wild is, even after I've seen this movie before, I thought Shalhoub was married to Maggie. I thought that for half the movie. And I was like, oh, she's not? But then he's so behind on all his bills, how could he afford to pay a full-time babysitter?
My theory is that she does this because she's like a family friend and knows them or something. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, because I had the same question. They're like, we don't have any bills. And they're like, but you have a housekeeper who's also not very good at it.
So she must be a friend then, right? Because
she has to be.
Yeah, you're not paying me.
Maybe she's secretly into him, though.
Yeah. I mean, Shalhoub, did you see that jump he did in the fist fight? He's very angry in this movie. He's screaming he spills coffee all over himself. I've been watching movies lately where a lot of people spill coffee on themselves. Friday the 13th, final chapter, this one. There's another. People always spill coffee.
I mean, it's very relatable. I've probably spilled coffee on myself once every